Labour Federation Cosatu has called on workers to down tools if they feel unprotected from Covid-19 in the workplace. The Congress of South African Unions signalled its resolve on Friday following an announcement by Minister of Employment and Labour, Thulas Nxesi, that companies which did not comply with the Covid-19 safety measures could face sanctions and possible closure. Cosatu spokesperson Sizwe Pamla joins us now on the line to explain the Federation's position. Good afternoon, Mr. Pamla, and thank you so much for your time. What is the position of the Federation on workers returning to work?
Well, our position is clear, is that these workers are selling their labor, they are not selling their lives. So there are conditions and protocols that have been put in place by the Department of Labour, Employment and Labour. So we expect all employers to comply. In an event where workers discover that an employer is failing to comply, our position is simple, is that those workers should not take a risk. We have made a call to the minister to say he needs to amend his direction that he issued out so that it empowers these workers to make sure that they are not victimized when they down tools. You will remember that already, if you look at the Occupational Health and Safety Act, it actually does say that all employers shall not require or permit employees to work unless they are provided with safety equipment. Under the Mine and Health and Safety Act, workers are actually empowered to refuse to work if they feel that their lives are in danger. So what we are saying now is that these workers who are being sent back, they need to be empowered through the Disaster Management Act to make sure that when they are facing a situation where they feel their lives are at risk, they need to down tools. And then that clause will empower them to make sure that they are not victimized by employers.
What do you make of what we're hearing this afternoon, a suggestion, I don't know whether it's a strong suggestion or even is already under works by Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize of an occupational health and safety committee comprising of health department officials, Labour Department officials, unions, employers as well as experts to come up with ways of ensuring safety of workers in the workplace?
To that, we will embrace any idea that is about looking after the interest of the workers. But at the center of what we want to see done really is the implementation part. If that will ensure that we improve the efficiency of implementation, then we are on board. You'll remember that workers are back at work already. So we don't want a process that is going to be about discussion at a time when workers, and hundreds of them, have already been infected by the virus. So, but we are open-minded. We want to work with all social partners to make sure that we protect the workers. But considering the fact that we are already dealing with employers who are indifferent and who are refusing to comply, and workers are being forced back to work, this needs to happen and happen fast. Our real interest now is to make sure that we protect those workers who are already back at work.
Are you happy with the attitude of government when you're raising these issues? And as a federation, what would you like to see as government approach on these issues going forward?
Look, a lot is being asked of these workers. You look at the essential service employees, they have been carrying the nation on their back over the last 5 weeks. So when it comes to protecting them, while we appreciate the fact that we don't have a magic wand to make sure that everybody has got access to PPE, but we feel that this is uneven. In some provinces, we get very troubling reports, or in some provinces, we can see progress and we can see the level of commitment coming on the side of government. But generally speaking, the Department of Employment and Labour so far has been very responsive, and we are fortunate in a sense that we have a minister who has an open door policy. We've been able to engage with the minister. But at the end of the day, whatever happens between us and the minister or the department at network level or any other level, it needs to filter through. We need to make sure that when we have reached a decision and we've taken a decision, that decision then trickles down and it actually reaches the people it's meant for, and it helps those people, because It is not about us having cordial relations. It is about those workers getting the protection that they deserve.
But do you view the approach by government as draconian, and in what way?
No, what we are saying is that the government has been very responsive. The minister has an open-minded approach. We've been able to meet with the minister on a daily basis for the last couple of weeks. What we are arguing here is that it's the implementation part that is not satisfactory so far. We don't have enough labor inspectors, for an example. We need to ensure that we employ adequate labor inspectors so that we can hold these employers accountable. And like we have said, that we need to empower workers themselves in case workers are faced with a condition where they don't have a union in that particular workplace that can represent them. They are able to actually down tools without them falling victims to bullying or employer tactics. So we are dealing with a situation that is new to all of us. So we are very appreciative of the work that government is doing, but we believe that more can be done to protect workers. But we have to commend that all of the government departments and institutions that we have worked with, they have been very transparent. They have told us where they are struggling, like UIF, for an example, and we have tried to work with them on developing their advertising campaign and improve their communications campaign. And they've worked with the private sector to make sure that they improve their systems. So we are cooperating, we are working together, but we still believe that more can be done to protect workers because we do want to flatten the curve of the virus. At the same time, we have a responsibility to flatten the curve of poverty and unemployment. In doing all of this, we need to make sure that the people who are being sent back to work are protected first thing before all of these other objectives are achieved.
Business Unity South Africa CEO Cosatu says the private sector has been playing and continues to play its role in the fight against this pandemic. Have you witnessed that? Is private sector taking a proactive stance and a positive role in working with the unions, particularly to curb the impact of COVID-19 in the workplace?
The private sector has been cooperating with us at NEDLAC. We'll give them that. But they have not done enough to really deal with the intransigent employers. It's very disappointing what the employers of South Africa has done over the last 5 weeks. In some instances, it's actually shameful. Firstly, we have discovered now for the first time the extent of the non-compliance when it comes to transferring deducted money to UIF. For the first time, we have realized that many of these employers, they deduct money and they are not sending it to UIF. And now that they are supposed to go and claim on behalf of workers, they are running away. This is something that we would like to see an organization like BUSA coming out openly to condemn that, not just condemning, but taking measures to make sure that something like that is addressed. Secondly, we are starting to realize that the employers who actually go and claim this money, some of them do not pay workers, or if they do, they don't give workers enough money that they are supposed to get. That is actually criminal. Those people are committing a criminal offense. BUSA has come out strongly last week. We welcome that to say these criminals have to be prosecuted. But they still need to take responsibility because they represent these people. This is their constituency. So they need to do more than just issue statements of condemnation. When you have a constituency that is committing this level of looting in the middle of a crisis, you have to do much more than just condemn them in public. So we expect more from BUSA, but we are happy with their level of cooperation at like another platform where we discuss plans and interventions. We are happy there, but we still believe that if you look at what the employers are doing, the fact that some of them are stealing money from the workers, the fact that some of them are already retrenching before any of these packages that were announced by the president have taken effect, that tells us that these members of BUSA are actually very opportunistic. They are using this crisis to actually implement some of the retrenchments and some of the plans that they couldn't before the outbreak of the virus.
Now, the CCMA calling for online hearings, particularly on that matter of companies who have claimed from the UIF but have not passed that money on to the employees. Will you be participating in that online process and making your submissions?
No, look, of course we're going to work with the CCMA to hold these employers accountable. But we cannot continue to view this as just people violating employment or labor laws. This is criminal. So we're actually busy writing a letter to the president because we want him to issue an urgent SIU proclamation to look into the serious allegations of employers stealing from the COVID-19 relief fund. You will remember that in his first speech, when he actually announced lockdown, he did make a commitment that looting, corruption and opportunism will be dealt with harshly during this lockdown. So we are going to hold him to his word. So we have written a letter to the president. We want the SIU to be given a proclamation to investigate this. You'll remember during the 2010 World Cup, we had special courts that dealt with cases during the World Cup. We want those kinds of courts to be set up to deal with the criminality that happens as a result of the lockdown, because you cannot expect workers to continue to cooperate when employers are stealing their deferred wages. UIF money belongs to workers. These are their deferred wages. So if you allow employers to have a field day and steal without any consequences, then you are not going to get the kind of cooperation you expect from the workers going forward. So we are writing to the president because this is criminals have to be prosecuted.
Sizwe Pamla, appreciate your time speaking on behalf of Cosatu.